Navigating the online world can be quite a challenge, but it is part of our digital citizenship. With our access to the World Wide Web, we can do a lot of things that ordinary people 20 years ago were not able to do, and that's crazy. But with every click in our digital smartphones bears the responsibility of knowing facts before interacting with anything. Hi, I'm Sage. I am a senior high school student in the University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines. And in this video, we're going to be talking about information pollution, or also more formally called as information disorder. So, what exactly is information disorder or pollution? Well, information disorder is an overarching framework used to describe the entire spectrum of the contemporary breakdown in the information system. So as long as it provides a disequilibrium in the criteria of stating something that is factual or fact, it is presumed as information disorder. Coined in 2017 by media researchers Claire Wardle and Hossein Drekershan in a landmark report for the Council of Europe, the term was created to replace the colloquially popular but deeply flawed phrase fake news. So, information disorder. Information disorder is defined not just by whether a piece of content is true or false, but by the relationship between its accuracy and the intent behind its sharing. Rather than viewing online deception as a single uniform problem, the information disorder framework splits the phenomenon into three distinct parts. It is interconnected, and it is also known as the types of pollution based on two specific questions. The first question is the information factually accurate? And the second one is, was it created or distributed with a deliberate intent to cause harm? So, for the first one, we already know what they are, but here they are. The first one, misinformation, malinformation, and disinformation. So what exactly is misinformation? Well, misinformation is information that is completely false or factually inaccurate, but it is not created or shared with the intention of causing harm. So it is unintentional. So you're not actually meaning to spread false information. It is usually the result of honest mistakes, misunderstandings, or a lack of fact checking. That is why when we are faced of facts or news and media, we always need to verify the source and not actually believe in the surface type of problem that we are being presented to in the online platforms or the media outlets. So we need to do our own research. So take this for example. This is an article published by the Minda News media outlet here in northern Mindanao. A Cebuano here in Cagayan de Oro City named Rob Rances published a post last March 11, 2026. In light of the recent Middle East war, he mistakenly assumed that the military and policemen who gathered in Lumbia military base were preparing to engage in the war. As said in the debunking article of Minda News, quote unquote, contrary to Tato's claim, the photos he shared on March 11 shows that the US soldiers were in civilian clothes and not bringing weapons. It is also not in their presence. It is also not true that their presence is linked to the conflict in the Middle East or the Philippines' territorial row with China in the West Philippine Sea, as some of the comments speculated. But it didn't stop there. In another post cited by the Mindanao Daily Tribune, the same guy, yet another time, caused panic amongst Cagayanons when he posted this photo. It turns out, this image is not related to war. This image is it's actually of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or also known as EDCA, or the Annual Balikatan Exercise, which forms the backbone of modern military cooperation between the Philippines and the United States. The Lumbia airfield here in Cagayan de Oro serves as the southern anchor, critical to regional logistics and disaster response. One of the many military bases here in the Philippines is doing periodical training regimens. So, what he posted, he didn't know the context, but he still posted it, and it resulted in misleading a lot of people, a lot of Cagayanons, and causing the public to go in a panic. So next, disinformation. So what is disinformation? Disinformation is information that is false and deliberately created or disseminated to mislead, deceive, manipulate, or cause targeted harm. This is also known as weaponized falsehood. So the gist here is you are um, you are using the information, you are creating the information in order to mislead the public or your target. So for this example, President Marcos does jumping jacks. This article is an example of a type of disinformation. So disinformation here, coordinated networks of Facebook pages and TikTok accounts began aggressively circulating highly specific narratives claiming that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. had suffered a medical emergency, was paralyzed, dying of late stage cancer, or had already secretly passed away. Other variations claimed his recent public appearances at the Day of Valor were completely AI deepfakes. So that is really concerning because um, a threat to the president or the speculations can become detrimental to the whole systematic layout of our country. So, attacks such as this, or this can be considered as a cyber attack, it can cause our whole country to collapse. The rumors grew so disruptive that the president literally jogged out of his office during a press briefing and did impromptu jumping jacks in front of reporters to physically prove he was fine. So, in order to counter all of the speculations, the president himself, in the midst of a journalism briefing, tried to prove all the speculations and rumors incorrect by physically proving he was fine. We literally had the president doing jumping jacks for the reporters just to stop those people spreading false information or disinformation about him online. So here, this is also uh, this is also a new separate because of the spread of disinformation. This is also an article published in Yahoo News. Seeds of Instability. Health disinformation targets Philippine leader. So this article, the author of this article is Indonesian. So it is such a shame that even foreign citizens in Indonesia concerned for our national security because we are attacking our own president with this information that is not relevant and it is not helpful in making our country a better place. So the next type of information pollution is disinformation. I mean malinformation, sorry. So what is malinformation? Well, malinformation is information that is entirely true and based on reality, but is strategically leaked or published out of context to inflict harm on a person, organization, or a country. So, for example, of this may be in a situation is leaking a public figure's private, authentic, and medical history, or doxing someone's home address. So that is a type of malinformation. When a fact, or a single information, you know that it is correct, and you deliberately try to spread it in order to harm the person who the fact is about, or an entity, not necessarily a person. It could be a reputation of a place, an establishment, well, yeah, people, political figures, artists, and even a country. So, an example of this is this report. This report by GMA News. So, what does this report say? As we know, um, in the lower house, the impeachment for our Vice President Sara Zito Duterte has become approved. So, with the sudden rise of the issue, it has been settled that multiple parties have diverged and debated to the validity of and political status quo that the impeachment will bring upon the country. In light of this, a plethora of individuals seem to bombard the executive politician with exposés that brought an alarming issue to the personal integrity of the vice president's privacy and security. But it is common sense. As citizens of this country, well, in this report by the GMA News, of course, it is normal for us to know the bank statements or the financial transactions of our world leaders in order for them to be more transparent as to where our money or the tax money of our people actually go. So that is can be considered as valid. However, media analysts, such as those journalists in GMA or in ABS-CBN, issued formal warnings regarding how hyper-partisan vloggers on both sides of the political fence were obtaining authentic, non-public government files such as internal travel logs and private chat transcripts, and broadcasting them to fuel wider narratives in a Senate standoff or palace coup. So, even our journalists are very much alarmed by this issue because um, the leakage of private or substantial significant um, information, especially for a public person such as the vice president, could be severely detrimental to not only her image but for ours as well. If but the thing is, although the bank statements were recently reported to have 33, I believe, 33 suspicious transactions by the um, bank provider of the vice president. It can also be noted that it is very concerning as to it raises the possibility that even our vice president or there is an espionage going on in the office of the vice president or uh in the circle of our vice president that can highlight a possible leakage of very private or very confidential information that can lead to our country's demise. So, with that, I conclude this, that, me. So, right about now, you should be able to identify the three main types of information disorder. And that is it for me, from me to me and me. So that's it from me for now. Um, See you guys and thank you for watching. You can also find relevant videos online from my classmates because like a lot of them